There are moments in a man's life when he senses danger, not from the dark corners of an alley, but from the faces he trusts. You feel it when a conversation sounds too smooth, when praise comes too quickly, when silence lingers a second too long. You dismiss it, but your instincts never lie. That unease is ancient. It's your mind whispering, something here is not what it seems. Most men ignore that whisper. They convince themselves that civility is safety, that smiles equal peace. But what if the real predators don't growl? What if they listen? What if danger wears a suit, smiles politely, and calls itself a friend? There are three kinds of people who can quietly dismantle your life. Not by force, not by open war, but by influence, betrayal, and fear. They are architects of ruin, invisible until the damage is done. The manipulator, the betrayer, the predator. You will meet them. You may already know them. This isn't superstition. It's not paranoia. It's psychology sharpened by history. Every empire that collapsed, every dynasty that fell, every king who died with a knife in his back met one of these three. And you will too, if you haven't already. The first steals your will. The second destroys your faith. The third consumes your courage. Together they are the quiet storm that undoes nations, friendships, marriages, and men. You think you're immune because you're intelligent, because you see through lies. But intelligence doesn't protect you from charm. Awareness doesn't shield you from affection. And strength doesn't save you from fear. These three feed on exactly what makes you human. Pause. Ask yourself this. When was the last time someone made you doubt your own judgment? When did you last share something personal and feel exposed afterward? When did someone's presence make you smaller, quieter, less certain? Those weren't coincidences. Those were rehearsals, subtle rehearsals for domination. The Machiavellian truth is simple. Power never disappears. It merely changes hands. And these three know how to make you give it up willingly. The manipulator uses your desires against you. The betrayer weaponizes your trust. The predator thrives on your fear. But here's the secret they don't expect you to learn. Awareness is armor. Once you see the pattern, the spell breaks. The same charm that seduced you becomes transparent. The same betrayal that shattered you becomes data. The same fear that controlled you becomes clarity. This series isn't about paranoia. It's about perception. Most men stumble through life hoping to be good. Few learn how to be dangerous to the dangerous. You're about to become one of the few. In the next section, we'll strip away the illusion that blinds most men. The belief that kindness equals safety. Because until you destroy that illusion, you'll never see the manipulator standing right beside you. Every deception begins with comfort. That's how the illusion is built. You are never attacked, you are invited. The manipulator's genius lies in one principle. He makes you feel safe enough to open the door yourself. Most men imagine danger as loud. They expect raised voices, aggression, or visible threat. But manipulation works in silence. It doesn't crush you. It shapes you. It doesn't take. It teaches you to give. The manipulator studies you the way a hunter studies prey, not to destroy you, but to understand your rhythm. He listens to what you desire most. Validation, acceptance, significance. Then he reflects it back at you. He becomes what you want to see. He mirrors your values, your speech, your beliefs. And because the reflection feels familiar, you trust it. You confuse resemblance with truth. That's the illusion. He doesn't demand loyalty. He earns it strategically. Each compliment is a thread. Each moment of agreement a knot. And before you realize it, the web is complete. You call it connection, but it's containment. Pause for a second. Think of someone who always seems to agree with you. Someone who praises you when others don't. Someone who seems to get you instantly. Most men see this as fate. The wise see it as engineering. The manipulator hides in the story you tell yourself about him. You want to believe you've finally met someone who understands you, a partner, a mentor, a friend who sees what others ignore. But that's the trap. He shows you not who he is, but who you wish he was. Machiavelli wrote that men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived. The manipulator counts on that truth. He knows that even strong men crave reassurance, and reassurance is the softest cage ever built. But here's the cruel part. He never lies outright. He lets you assemble the illusion with your own hands. You take his words, his gestures, his silences, and build a fantasy, one that feels real because you helped construct it. That's why exposure hurts so much. You're not just betrayed by him. You're betrayed by your own blindness. You believed in the mask because you needed the comfort it gave. Most men never escape this first phase. They confuse warmth for loyalty, familiarity for safety, empathy for truth. But understand this, kindness can be strategic. Empathy can be a tool, and charm, when used with precision, is a weapon more dangerous than any blade. The illusion always starts with something beautiful, because beauty distracts you from its purpose. The manipulator's goal is not to destroy you immediately. It's to domesticate you, to make you predictable, pliable, cooperative. Every manipulator operates by a law older than civilization. Control is most powerful when it feels like freedom. That's the revelation most men never reach. They believe control means domination, visible, harsh, undeniable. But the master of manipulation knows that overt control breeds resistance. True control hides in choice. He lets you feel and command, while every decision bends toward his design. This law governs empires and relationships alike. A king rules by decree. A strategist rules by suggestion. The first inspires rebellion. The second inspires loyalty. The manipulator knows that if you believe the decision is yours, you will defend it even against yourself. He plants thoughts like seeds, small, unnoticed, perfectly timed. Then he steps back. Days later, when the seed blooms into your idea, you'll swear it was born from your own mind. You'll call it intuition. He'll call it victory. Every master persuader understands the principle of invisible authorship. If the audience forgets the speaker, the message becomes gospel. The manipulator doesn't want credit. He wants influence. And once he has it, you will act on his behalf without his presence. Machiavelli wrote, "Men should be either caressed or destroyed." The manipulator chooses the first because destruction is messy, but affection is efficient. By offering comfort, he disarms suspicion. By providing validation, he earns devotion. Over time, your emotional centers shift toward him. You begin to seek his approval before you act, even when he's not there. That is the moment control becomes complete. Pause here. Ask yourself, whose opinion do you fear losing? Whose approval shapes your choices, even when you tell yourself it doesn't? Control doesn't require chains. It requires permission. Yours. This is how kingdoms fall quietly. The tyrant doesn't always storm the gates. Sometimes he is invited in to help, to advise, to support. But the advice always favors him, and the support always costs you. Psychologists call it covert conditioning. Each time you reward him with trust, he rewards you with attention. Each time you question him, he withholds warmth. Eventually you self-regulate to preserve his affection. You discipline yourself on his behalf. This is not manipulation by accident. It's a system, a perfect psychological loop, dependence masquerading as connection. Most men only wake up after the collapse, after the wealth is gone, after the loyalty is exploited, after the confidence evaporates. They look back and wonder how they didn't see it sooner. But the manipulator's brilliance lies not in deception, but in rhythm. He moves at the exact pace of your comfort, matching it, never rushing it, until surrender feels like harmony. Here's the truth. You can't out-talk him. You can't out-charm him. The only defense is distance and discernment. See him before he shapes you. End the illusion before it becomes identity. In the next phase, you'll see what happens when this law of control is ignored, when men mistake kindness for safety and pay with everything they thought they owned. When the mask finally cracks, it's never during chaos. It's during quiet. You'll see it in a delayed smile, a glance that lingers too long, a tone too sharp for the moment. That's when truth begins to leak through the illusion. The manipulator you once trusted now reveals something colder. Calculation. This is the moment most men break, not because they are weak, but because the betrayal isn't just external. It's internal. You begin to question your own mind. How did I not see this? Why didn't I listen to myself? The manipulator's greatest victory is not what he takes. It's what he makes you doubt. Your own judgment. Look closer. This is the silent collapse of power. Not through violence, but through erosion. Bit by bit, you hand over pieces of yourself. Your confidence. Your clarity. Your ability to decide without permission. Until one day you look at the mirror and see a man who hesitates before every word, who seeks approval before every step. That's not humility. That's conditioning. When the mask falls, there's no grand confrontation, no dramatic confession, only realization. You see the pattern, and you see your role in it. You remember how easily you dismissed small inconsistencies, how you explained away the signs because the illusion was comforting. That's the punishment. You weren't simply fooled. You were complicit. Machiavelli warned, men are more likely to be deceived by those they love than by those they fear. It's not the enemy that destroys you. It's the ally who whispers safety while quietly replacing your will with his own. The consequence of ignoring this truth is not just loss. It's dependency. Once a man becomes accustomed to direction from another, he forgets the strength of his own mind. And when that happens, the manipulator doesn't need to control him anymore. He controls himself perfectly. Pause here. Think of how many men live this way. in marriages, in offices, in friendships, guided by invisible strings they no longer see. They call it loyalty, teamwork, love. But strip away the language, and what remains is surrender. The manipulator's art leaves no scars, no visible marks, only emptiness where conviction used to live. But here's the cruel paradox. Once the manipulator leaves, you'll miss him. You'll miss the comfort, the validation, the clarity he provided. Because for so long your compass pointed toward his approval. The silence that follows feels unbearable. That's how deep his reach goes. This is why Machiavellian awareness must replace emotional dependence. Once you see through charm, you must not look back with longing. Because the manipulator doesn't simply trick you, he teaches you to betray yourself. And if you don't face that truth, the next one you meet will not need to manipulate you. You'll already be trained, in the next phase. We turn from awareness to application. How to recognize, dismantle, and reverse the power dynamics that once controlled you. Awareness without action is paralysis. The moment you see the truth, you must move differently. The manipulator thrives on predictability, your emotions, your reactions, your habits. So the first act of reclaiming power is unpredictability. Break your patterns. Change your rhythm. Stop being easy to read. Every manipulator feeds on emotional signals. Guilt, flattery, reassurance, apology. Remove them. Become still. Speak less. Reveal nothing you're not willing to lose. A calm man cannot be manipulated, because calmness is control disguised as silence. When you no longer react, you no longer feed the illusion. Here's the method. Step 1. Observation before interpretation. Most men assume meaning before they gather facts. A manipulator's smile may not mean kindness, it may mean calculation. Train yourself to observe behavior without labeling it. Description before judgment. When you detach emotion, you see patterns clearly. Step 2. Limit access. Control flows through proximity. The less someone knows, the less they can influence. Withhold your vulnerabilities the way a fortress withholds its gates. A secret unspoken is a weapon unclaimed. Step 3. Reward truth, not comfort. Manipulators rely on your desire for pleasant lies. Reverse the equation. Value honesty even when it hurts. When people learn that you respond to truth, not flattery, manipulators lose interest because their tools no longer work. Step 4. Mirror their methods consciously. This is the Machiavellian approach, not vengeance, but understanding. Study their language, pacing, and persuasion, not to imitate darkness, but to become immune to it. A mind that recognizes manipulation cannot be controlled by it. Knowledge becomes armor. Machiavelli wrote, "He who builds his strength on others' loyalty builds on sand." Power must be internal, not borrowed, not granted. When your sense of worth no longer depends on validation, no manipulator can touch you. Ask yourself, what in you makes manipulation possible? Is it the hunger for approval? The fear of rejection? The desire to be understood? Whatever the weakness, name it. Because what you cannot name will own you. Once you name it, you can weaponize it. You can turn need into awareness, emotion into signal. Every time someone tries to pull the same old strings, you'll feel it immediately. The tone shift, the timing, the subtle push. And instead of reacting, you'll smile quietly, knowing exactly what game is being played. That's when control returns. Not through confrontation, but through detachment. A manipulator expects emotion. Give him stillness. He expects argument. Give him silence. He expects guilt. Give him indifference. Most men fear being called cold. But coldness is not cruelty. It's clarity without distortion. In this phase, power is no longer external. It's internal, rooted, immovable. You don't chase influence, you become it. And when others sense that unshakable calm, they hesitate. Because the manipulator, the betrayer, and the predator all fear the same thing, a man who cannot be swayed. You began this journey looking outward, searching for the dangerous people around you. The manipulator, the betrayer, the predator. But the final truth is not about them. It's about you. Every one of them exists because something in you allows them entry. The manipulator feeds on your hunger for approval. The betrayer thrives on your faith in permanence. The predator rules through your fear of conflict. Strip away those weaknesses, and they vanish. Their power was never theirs. It was borrowed from you. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote that a wise man should rely on what is in his control, not on what belongs to others. That is the essence of real power, control over self. Not over nations, not over people, over impulse, over reaction, over fear. You will meet these three again. Not always in grand betrayal or dramatic ruin, sometimes in small, quiet exchanges. A coworker who flatters too much. A friend who vanishes when you're weak. A superior whose silence carries the weight of threat. You will recognize them instantly because now you can see. And when you see, you will not flinch. You will not rage. You will simply understand what they are and act accordingly. Awareness makes you untouchable. Ask yourself, how much of your life has been shaped by invisible hands? How often have you traded peace for validation, loyalty for comfort, courage for safety? Every man who seeks control must first reclaim himself from those trades. The world is not divided between good and evil. It's divided between the aware and the unaware. The aware see patterns before they form. The unaware become patterns in someone else's plan. This is why most men fail. They chase strength without clarity, dominance without discipline. They want power, but they fear solitude. And so they attach themselves to anyone who offers warmth. But warmth without depth is the first sign of the manipulator's fire. It burns slowly, then consumes completely. If you've listened this far, it means something inside you refuses to stay blind. That instinct that pulled toward truth is the beginning of liberation. You are no longer prey. You are a strategist. Remember this final law. Power begins where fear ends. The manipulator cannot seduce you if you no longer need praise. The betrayer cannot wound you if your loyalty is earned, not assumed. And the predator cannot dominate you if your courage burns colder than his shadow. Most men will never understand this. But you will. Because you've seen what hides behind the smile, the promise, the glare. You've seen the mechanism. And once a man sees the mechanism, he can never be controlled by it again if you choose clarity over comfort. If you prefer truth to illusion, type in the comments, I move in silence.